So that's fine.
So I think we are live. Awesome. Although today is a low pressure session because we don't have the official AWS channel.
Oh.
Remember,
Oh.
they've got their streaming container days or something.
Yes.
So it's just our local
Yeah.
audience that's joining us today.
So today is just the loyal ones. The loyal audience.
Give me a
Well,
second. I just
that
lost
is
audio
fine.
again.
This is fine. You are joined. What's the problem? So
Okay. I'm just going to rejoin quickly. Give me a second.
okay. You're still
That would
here.
be the jingle.
That's the
Yay! I
jingle.
can hear.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so the headphones tell me when I connect and what I connect to and who's connecting to and all of those fun things. Yeah, so let's welcome people quickly and then I can tell you why I'm so confused today.
Okay. Let's do that. Okay. Let me welcome you all. Hello and welcome to Monday stream. I hope you all have a lovely early Monday. Welcome to I don't know which edition of this is, but this is Bean streaming. This is where my friend and colleague Cobus here and Mr. Sidekick as well, where we go ahead and we build something on AWS. We usually spend these. When do I get? so we usually spend this hour and a half discussing tech and actually building something, playing around with some technology. So if this is the first time you are here, welcome. If this is not your first time, welcome as well. So yeah, today I'm not sure what we're gonna be doing. So we've been playing around with CDK a bunch of last week. We've been building our application as we're going along. If I recall correctly, last time we set up the SSL certificate and Route 53 DNS names. That's all fine. That all worked. But today we might just slightly shift in gear as we may want to. I think there is some feedback coming from Mr. Sidekick because he is not muted. Aha, I muted him. See, Mr. Sidekick gave out his voice. So today I think we're gonna have a look at something different now, or slightly different, not a lot different, but we were talking about. So we were doing a lot of stuff in CDK. Hey Gunnar, hi. Oh, good morning. So we were doing a lot of things in CDK, and we were doing a lot of things in Cobus. Your keyboard is very loud. I know you have not enabled noise canceling, and you feel like you have power to type all day. So, uh, we've been doing a lot of CDK, and the CDK we've been doing is in Typescript. So one of the things I've tried to do is like, how difficult would it be to do things in Python, right? Because CDK does support Python. Is it that much different than just doing things in TypeScript? Now, I've chosen TypeScript because the first example I've seen in CDK was in TypeScript, and a lot of examples out there are actually in TypeScript. So, but you know what? As I'm more comfortable with Python, how about now you're completely muted? Um, But how about we do something in CDK today? Let's build a sample project with CDK in Python today, and we can kind of discuss over the things. How does it actually look, or it doesn't look? So, first things first, I need to join with my laptop.
Yes, and
You are
while you
super
are
loud.
doing... Okay, give it a second. Let it go. Is this better? Is it getting better? Is it still very loud?
Now it's better. Yeah, now it's better. Okay.
Okay. So apologies for that. That would be what happens when you sit in a semi-quiet room. Well, not super
Yeah.
quiet, and the machine learning thinks there's a background noise because I just rebooted the PC because I thought that
Okay.
was the issue with my sound, but the sound actually was it would help if you turn Bluetooth on,
Yeah.
I've heard.
By the way,
So,
the Twitch audience, can you just confirm, are we okay with the sound? Because one of the things we noticed is that sometimes Cobus can be much louder than I am. So just want to make sure that the sound is normalized to an extent, so we don't sound too quiet from each other. Sounds good. Thank you, Mr.
okay,
Joe Frickson.
cool, sure. Awesome.
KDW.
So, fun morning for me. While you set that up, I will
Yeah.
entertain you. My entire setup is different. I have moved my desk. For those that are very observant, you can see more of the background behind me. The idea is that I need a bit more space because I need to be able to slot the green screen in behind me, which is difficult if you've got this much space behind you left in the room. And part of that now means that everything is has changed. Has moved around. So my camera is now here instead of there. So if I look up at you vaguely and you think like I'm looking through you, sorry about that. Still figuring that out. And you'll find this funny. It's like I've been wanting to move my studio setup here for a while now, but I've been too lazy. And then this morning, finally, the office UPS that they sent us for our friendly load shedding situation here arrived, and it is a monster. Yeah, it's one of those like there's the UPS and all the electronics component, and then there is the battery. Now, the battery is estimate about 40 kilograms, maybe 50.
Wow.
It's one of those like I have to think about picking it up right, otherwise I hurt my back type of heavy. And I can normally carry fairly heavy things. So that's been fun. In any case, so because I've got this thing and I've decided, hey, it's going to be too much effort to move again, let me rearrange the whole office while I'm at it.
Good. That's very smart.
And then obviously we did cable management, and now it's not optimal yet. So now I need to move the monitor arm because the monitor is now not centered with the camera and all of those fun things.
That's fine. I mean, my camera is anyway like I'm looking at you right here, right? But my camera is here, so I'm used to not looking at people unless I really want to. So, but it's okay.
But it's the thing is, it's that net setup is something I'm looking at the moment because it's more natural doing, like for example, looking to the side, then to looking here, doing that, then going like up, down, up, down. It's like because it looks like I'm kind of looking at you now. So this is me looking at the middle of my screen, which means you can see I'm kind of ignoring you, and then but we'll see.
It's fine.
Nice mug.
Okay. My Star Wars mug, my Chewbacca mug. Okay, while you were doing something with your noise cancelling and typing around, I told people that we're gonna try to do some CDK with Python. So I guess we could. I've actually had a play with this on Friday evening, as any good Friday evening is. You do some Python and CDK late at night, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's either I'm more experienced with CDK right now than I did initially, but it's very easy for me to work with Python. I must say there are some examples which are quite lacking on Python compared to TypeScript, because a lot more people do TypeScript when it comes to CDK. But let's talk to the Python fans out there. Let's do something Python. So I did something last week, but let's actually create something from scratch, right? So let's there's a few things I need to do extra when I do Python because of virtual environment and all the stuff. But let's actually do some Python magic. CD Python magic, and then basically what we do is CDK init language Python. It does all the things for us. It actually creates a virtual environment. It does all the stuff. I mean, how familiar are you with Python?
I have worked with a lot of Python projects from the automation side of things. I can hack together Python, and as a language itself, I can probably modify things. I wouldn't say let me build something from scratch in Python.
Me neither. So I've been using Python quite a bunch in like automation requirements and some basic scripting. Like it's my language of choice if I would do some scripting. If you would ask me today, hey, sorry, what did you say?
Continue.
Oh, I think your face is frozen. I think Cobus is gone. Can you guys see Cobus, or is it just me? Okay, you're back.
It's weird.
You're back. Okay, you're gone. Okay, Cobus is gone. Well, as I was saying, when it comes to Python, I'm comfortable with Python when it comes to building something in Python. Hello, Cobus.
Yes, hello. Sorry about that. I think it's something to do with my setup here, because Mr. Sidekick is on the one machine and I am on the other machine, and the one with the wire disappeared, not the Wi-Fi. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So let me first answer a question here from Joe Frickson. Getting confused what means Python and Python 3. Where to use which. So use Python 3 everywhere. Unless you have a really hard requirement to use Python 2, which is basically the OG version of Python, don't use Python 2. So let me just do one thing, remove this, and then add Sidekick like that. So I can look at you, Cobus. So Python 2 has been deprecated, I believe. Python has officially stopped supporting Python 2 as of recently, or is coming soon. So uh, uh, don't use Python 2 for anything unless you really have to do it. Unless it's a legacy requirement, because it's a no longer supported language. So Python 3 is the way to go. There are subtle differences between the two, so it's not just a matter of switching between the two. For a typical example is the print statement is different in Python 3. So there are some differences, but again, I'm not a super serious Python developer. Again, you can tell me, hey, can you do automation? Can you automate this? And I'll probably use Python for that because I'm the most comfortable with Python. Coming from I used to do C stuff in the past, and I'm coming from that kind of a world. It's Python is more approachable to me. Yeah.
Should do a session on C.
C. Oh, I've done
No,
C
I'm
in
joking.
high school. Done C in high school. That was my programming language of my high school years. C and assembly. So no, actually C sharp as well. We did C sharp as well. Yeah,
Oh,
we
nice.
we did 16-bit assembly on Windows. In the debug mode, and we did.
Yeah. I don't know why. I also did a course on that at some point, and it's like,
Yeah, I'm a fan of assembly. I like assembly. It's difficult. It doesn't get you what you want unless you're very experienced with assembly. But I like the fact you control everything with assembly. You do memory locations, especially if you're working with simple systems. I mean, I'm not sure how many people do assembly now for x64 CPUs, and I mean there are of course some low-level requirements, but most of the things can be written in abstract languages right now and be super fine. Let me just, Cobus, can you create a banner for us so we can kind of show up on a screen what we are doing? So what we are
yes.
doing is
Sorry.
we're playing with CDK for Python. So I've created a repository here. One of the things you'll see here is there's a bunch of files here. There's the app file, there's the CDK JSON file, there's a README, of course, there's anything, requirements txt, setup py, and source.bat. Now, there's actually a hidden file here, and I can do it like that. So there is the env file. This is where the entire virtual environment of Python is. So if you have never worked with virtual environment in Python, it's basically just a completely separate quasi-virtual environment that will be used for Python. So if you're installing Python modules, or are they called modules? Yes. If you're installing Python packages and modules, you're not installing them globally, but you're installing them only for this virtual environment. So that's the reason we would use a virtual environment in this case.
And virtual environment is linked to a directory,
Yes.
or
So it's
because I know you act. Okay, sorry. Let me quickly ask.
It's linked to a directory, but you have to kind of source it. You have to activate it first.
Yes.
So it's not like Node. In Node, there's no such thing as a virtual environment like in Typescript. It's basically just the current directory, because there's a node_modules directory under there, and anything when you run npm install, it installs it locally. But if you do pip install with Python, it installs those things globally. So it's not like a local configuration. But if we enable the local virtual environment, then this actually just kind of boils down only to that. So to get into that local environment, let me just remove the banner for a second. Can you do this? Okay, no, like that. Okay, I have to source this file now. Env bin activate. There's 3 types of activate here. If you look here, there's an activate CSH, and the activate.fish. These really depend on which shell you're using, right? If you're using bash or zsh, it should be just activate, right? If you're using C shell, I don't know a lot of people who use C shell. You can use the CSH, and for me, because I use fish, I have to use the .fish because the other one won't work. So if I do this, basically it's gonna tell me, hey, I'm currently set up in this environment, and now any pip package I install, it's gonna be installed to this environment only, and it's gonna be available only for this one. So let me actually just open Tmux.
While you're doing that, just quickly to correct you, there are actually 4 types of activate. The 4th one being AWS activate.
Wow. Wow.
It's Monday. I have to get the jokes ready. I have to practice.
Wow.
Who am I kidding? Okay. I do it every day, not just Mondays.
So one of the things we can do is pip install -r requirements txt. So this will install all the requirements specified in the requirements txt file. I believe there are a bunch of CDK requirements, right? So when I do this, it installs everything locally. So it doesn't, when I say locally, to this directory, to this current virtual environment. So that's pretty cool. I also need to install a few more things. I need to install, if I recall correctly, NeoVim, right? NeoVim, because these are some specific packages that are for my Vim setup. And
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so
So NeoVim interacts. It does make sense because it needs to know what packages are loaded and available. So it needs
exactly.
to know about
So there are better ways to do this, I'm sure. There are absolutely better ways to do it, but in my simple, a couple of hour play with this was the only way I found the way to do it. Like I didn't find a way that I can point my NeoVim for specific packages somewhere else, because NeoVim needs to be aware that I have specific packages installed locally, so it can parse CDK code against that, right? So I think I need to install NeoVim and Jedi. So these two things are required. Jedi is my Python interpreter for NeoVim. So let's. You can put back the banner. So I moved it in such a way that people can see the screen now. So.
Oh, okay.
I put the little bottom, so I would never reach. I would never reach like that. Yeah, there we go. So if I clear this, that's fine. Okay. So what do we need to edit here? So it's a bit different than there are also library files, but there's no bin and lib directory. There is actually
there's a batch file.
There's a batch file. So this is for Windows. If you want to source this on Windows, you can actually do this as well. So
we should do that once.
Yeah,
we should do everything on Windows
absolutely.
At one point. Yeah.
Python development on Windows is great. I mean, there's nothing that at least from my experience, that doesn't work, right? It just, it's Python, so it has its own interpreter, so it should work pretty fine. So maybe some different way of setting things up, like, a different way of sourcing an environment, but especially now. So if you're a Windows user and you don't use Windows Subsystem for Linux, you're missing out. Windows Subsystem for Linux basically gets most of my Windows gripes out of the way. So I'm a fan of that, and I can use Windows Subsystem for Linux perfectly, fully as anything else. So, but the main thing here that we have to look at is the app.py. So basically, this is the main binary file of your CDK application, and here there's this Python magic stack. So this is basically the library file. This is your construct where you actually put in your code. So that's what we're going to be playing around with. So let's open up app.py. I think everything should be working here. Perfect. So it's very, it needs to install Python lint. So it doesn't have a lint installed. So I'm going to let it install pylint. That's one more thing I need to install. So
Pylint.
Yeah, pylint is the yeah. So Joe asks, Docker would be better subsystem for me. I agree, Docker can work fine, but to be honest, for your command line / Linux needs on Windows, WSL2 just works. It's basically a virtual machine running Ubuntu with its own kernel. It's not longer. It has like 256 gigabytes of storage dedicated. It's basically a virtual machine, right? But with a lot of native stuff built in. So I think, especially if you use VS Code, right? And VS Code on Windows has this basically support to enable WSL Linux as basic. You can run the VS Code within Linux on Windows. So if that's what you do, that's all you need. So there are some other things on Windows that I'm not a fan of, but when it comes to development, this just works. So similar with Typescript, we basically define our application here, and this is where we launch our stack. So this line tells our stack, hey, launch the stack. So simple as that. And the synthesize, this is basically telling our application to synthesize. Nothing special. But we're not going to be doing anything in this file. We're actually going to be playing around with something else. And that file is called the stack.py. So this one. This is where we actually define all of our code. This is where we actually define stuff for what are we going to create. Like basically, this is the library file within, like we have in Typescript. So, a question from Joe: any plans for playing with Golang?
We can definitely do that.
Yeah, I've been playing with Golang myself personally. Again, I'm a fan of statically typed languages. and compilable languages. So Go is great for that. I'm not a fan of how Go does things with the entire Go binary directory and the local files, and it confused me quite a bunch with Golang. But there's still not a CDK support for Golang. I think CDK support for Golang is coming this year, so that should be very interesting. So I will definitely be checking that out once it comes out. So looking forward to that. I was trying to check out Java as well. Java is something I absolutely don't know. Right? Java is.
I'll take that next time.
Okay, next time we can do CDK for Java if you want. I mean, the thing is, the syntax should be very similar because it uses JSII basically to interpret all the languages into a single language at the end. So there should not be much difference there. Okay, so what are we going to create, Cobus? What are we going to do in CDK for Python?
Well, let's do something we did before. Let's start off with the VPC and let's just do a basic ECS cluster. Nothing else.
Okay, so let's...
Simple
ECS cluster. Why not? So we need to install something. Pip install AWS CDK, and then we do like this. We need EC2, right? Because EC2 contains all the things we need. It's already been installed. So
wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Here's one pretty thing we can do here. Like that, and then how does this...
Oh, that indentation is horrible. Come now, Darko. Not 2 tabs, 1 tab. And the closing bracket, it's not on the right...
Wait a second. AWS EC2 as EC2, like that. So I believe this is the official way to do it. I think this is the PEP 8 approach. Yeah, PEP 8. PEP 8 or the Python, how do I call it? Python style guide says that you should do it like this.
No, I'm not. I'm complaining about line 4. That bracket.
No, that's how you should do it. It's weird. Yeah,
okay,
PEP 8 says you should do it that way.
Okay. So Python already lost me when you could do with the variable scope. Now it's just like cheers.
Did I install EC2? Is it underscore?
Install the whole of EC2, please. All of the instances.
Wait. I think I did not.
Ooh, EC3. Was the upgrade?
EC3. I did a wrong package.
Elastic Cloud Compute Convention?
EC3, really? EC2?
I don't know, yeah. So this is very interesting. I keep getting weird lag and things happening on the desktop, but not on the laptop. And the difference is desktop is actually using Ethernet, but Ethernet over power. So I'm thinking there might be something going on because our power in general is dodgy. But yeah,
maybe.
So if I do disappear,
maybe the UPS is the one that's causing the problem here, right?
No, it's on the other side of the UPS. So
okay,
because otherwise it'll fall down. But anyways, let's go
on. Creating a VPC. How does one do it? VPC or do it like that? Default VPC. Oh, thank you. No camel casing. Is new EC2 dot. Come and show up. I want you to show me all the code. Why are you still complaining? EC2 import. Come on. I want you. I was so proud of you, Mr. Vim. Why are you not? It's okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Import VPT. No.
Okay.
So why are you showing an error? No EC2 module with CDK. Wait. No.
Yeah.
Did I do it right?
Is it AWS Dash? Maybe? Oh, that looks horrible. No.
CDK pip install.
Are you kidding me? Wow. AWS dash CDK dot AWS underscore CDK EC2. That's just horrible.
I may be wrong. No, it's dash. It's both dashes. So it's. I'm sorry. It should be both. It should be.
But why didn't it complain?
Dash. Okay.
But why was there no error?
I don't know. So if I do it like that, but you import it for some reason like this, I think.
Okay.
The underscore. Yeah.
And the overscore. Quickly while waiting that, for our viewers, is the audio right? Can you hear this nice little background hum that I have now or not? Was it being filtered out?
we cannot hear the hum, so at least well,
Are you sure?
at least I cannot hear it. Why
Right.
you-
This is interesting. Isn't that AWS dash or is it underscore?
No, it should be underscore. So that's the thing. Like it should be underscore. Weirdly enough,
Cool,
it should be underscore. So let me just have a look. Am I in the? I'm in the current environment. Yes, I am. So
Yeah.
if I do
Let's
pip
have a look.
install AWS CDK, AWS EC2 like that, it should all be already installed.
Cool. Let's have a
Okay,
look.
no, it wasn't installed for some reason. Okay, why did it? Okay, doesn't matter.
That's interesting.
Cool. Stack. This one. Now you should not complain, please. Please don't complain.
Let's
Please
see.
don't complain. So far, so good. Dot VPC. Come on.
Sorry. I am apologizing for this, but this is a very important message that I have to say. I have to ask very nicely because there is fresh coffee incoming. And when I'm live, people tend to not come into my office, but I want them to come in at this point and hand
That's
me
fine.
coffee.
That's fine. Get coffee. Now I'm trying to figure out. So the problem here is with my Vim. Jedi timeout after 5,000 milliseconds.
Oh,
So
okay.
something is wrong with my editor.
Okay.
So let me try to Vim like that, and then
Who needs an editor?
who needs an editor? You should all write this on paper, because otherwise it should show up here if I do that VPC and then
Okay.
something. And I know how the code looks. I just wanted to show up on the screen, but apparently you do self instead of this. Self. It's showing up. Cool. And then you give it a
There we
name.
go.
Call it default VPC, and then you see which. And the tooltips are better here than on Typescript because it actually tells you on the tooltip what you should use, which ones are required. As you can see, the only one required here is the CIDR, and that's it. So actually, I don't think it even is required. It's optional. So yeah, so you can define a VPC without anything. But we're going to do a CIDR. So if I do CIDR, and it uses equals in this case, and just do this, then 00016.
Oh, because you're specifying the variable name, not just in the sequence. It's optional. Good. Gotcha.
Yeah, so like that, and according to PEP, it's closing up here. So I know it's horrible. I don't like the indentation here at all, but it's fine.
Well, if that's the standard, it's the standard. I mean, I'm one of those people where I go to whatever the language standard is and enforce that because I had way too many fights about this.
Sorry, there's
Yeah.
there's also no new thing here. So
That would help.
yeah, and this should create a VPC. So if I would go here and CDK diff, hopefully, and there's no npm run build, no model name attr. Okay, just go back here, close this off, and CDK diff, CDK diff.
Cool. I think I'm still here.
You are still here. Why are you complaining? What is attr? Import attr. Have I not installed everything?
Possibly not. Apologies, everyone, if I keep dropping. I see my desktop is not behaving.
Everything seems to be installed here, but
Okay, what's the warning? What happens if we run CDK, whatever the Python version is, synth? Module named at
CDK synth.
No. Yeah, but it's saying something about module not found.
Yeah, exactly.
Named
So
ATTR.
yeah, ATTR. So it's complaining about something missing. So I do have a CDK installed here and wondering. maybe a new version. Maybe this could be a sudo npm install. This could always be a thing.
Let's see.
No, it's still the same one. So,
Okay. It's going to have the same error. Just show me the code quickly. Is it importing?
It's not importing
Wait, hold
anything. So this is actually failing on the JSII package on this one. Line 4, module import attr. No module attr. That's weird. Local lib Python side packages AWS. But it's like it's not using the package local to my environment. So if I exit from here and do once more, actually no, let me exit it completely. Exit like that and terminal once more. Not this one. I want a new window because this one works. So this is the one I played around with last time. But let me zoom in.
Make it a little bit bigger, and then we can see what's going on.
CDTMP, and there's the Python magic one. And if I tmax,
So, just out of interest, did you hear anything right now?
I hear everything.
No, as in, did you hear what just happened?
No. Ah, wow.
My door opened, my dog barked, I got coffee, and it seems like the noise cancelling is working properly. Awesome.
That's very good. I think I know what the problem is.
Ooh, this is getting interesting.
So
Okay. It's a tmux with fish with activate.
It could be both. So CDK diff.
Let's see. I'm curious because I didn't have as much fun with fish.
So it was a virtual environment thing. So if I would tmux into this one, tmux, I think I'm actually in a different environment right now. So if I CDK diff,
okay.
If I CDK diff, it's going to throw an error here.
But now activate?
But I cannot activate like that. I have to, for some reason, as soon as I get into tmux, it activates a thing because I am in the other tmux. I'm using a, so if I would do this, if I exit from here and then exit here and kill all tmux or sudo kill all tmux like that.
No.
I want to make sure it's killed. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's
and
dead.
This one is dead. Terminal. Now, I am a fan of virtual environments in principle, but okay, good. So repos, no, TMP, Python.
So while you're having this and on that comment, that's also what was my experiences in principle. It's always a good idea, but I've been burned enough times that
I've struggled with this a lot. So like when I first time tried it, it just worked out of the box. Like now, but it's combining two virtual environments. And for this use case, I might as well have Cloud9 because I'll just have Cloud9 for one single thing I do and that's it. But okay, so now I should be fine. If I do CDK diff, fingers crossed.
Old. It looks a little like it's doing something.
Yeah.
Because
so it's gonna do a bunch of things. So what it will do? What will it do? So it will create a VPC, root tables, all the standard stuff, right? So that's fine. So we are good on this one. But let's actually do more. Python magic stack like that, and you don't have to run any npm run build, nothing. It just works. So
that's nice.
It just works.
Of course, but I suppose that's because previously we were working in TypeScript, and we went from, I'm assuming, TypeScript to JavaScript to then.
Yeah, exactly. So this works directly.
Okay.
So that's fine. Now, ECS cluster, you said we're gonna be doing.
Yeah. Well, let's just do that one and see what happens. I mean,
yeah, sure, we can do it like.
And also, welcome. We've had a couple of additional people join us in the last 10, 20, 35 minutes. Oh wow, it's been busy. Yes, 35 minutes.
35 minutes. Wow.
Yes, that's how easy it is to get started with Python in CDK, Darko.
Wow.
Yes.
and deploy
So,
single
for those
VPC.
that have joined us, welcome. This is the session where we play around with different tech, and today we are playing with specifically the Python version of the AWS CDK. Previously, we've been building things using Typescript, and today we're taking the Python version for a spin, just to show you how easy it is, right?
Right. So yeah, virtual environments. But again, you can also do this without virtual environments if you want, but you install globally, packages globally, which is also good, but not good. So
You almost had a pretty number there for your trackers blocked. Two blockers too many.
uh, uh, oh well. By the way, Brave is the browser. I am a fan of this browser. It's basically Chromium, but it blocks all the ads. So fun times.
I actually cleaned up my network and installed Pi-hole this weekend.
Yes, you see here, it's available. It's my new favorite thing, where I just keep on blocking all the content. So yes,
It's actually quite impressive what it blocks.
yeah. So okay, what do you want? I want a AWS CDK Python docs.
Nice, Joe. Joe's just commenting that he also started using, Punk.
Brave. I like it. I'm not a fan of the icon and the entire line thing. It's fine, but the browser in itself works just great. It has all the features of Chrome. It's de-Googleified, and it's very, when it comes to it has built-in ad blocking. So I forgot how ads look. So the documentation for CDK Python looks a bit different. It uses a different documentation
Sphinx.
engine. Yeah. So it's a bit different. It's basically using the same one as we use for both three. But if we're gonna doing ECS here, one of the things you'll see here that sometimes
Wait. Look, Darko, in the background, our container app just launched. If you look behind you. The previous stream video.
it launched. Okay, so we need to do that.
We're behind schedule. Look, we're already at the container app, and now
Okay. Good. Let's do it. So we need to create a cluster, right? We need to create a simple cluster. That is perfect. This is all we need in our lovely application. So one of the things we can do here is just go bam, and like that. And VPC is not VPC; it's default VPC.
Oh, I wouldn't want to call it default VPC because that'll confuse people, given that accounts ship with a default VPC.
Okay. Yes.
No, I'm shaking my head because I realize you've got two variables on line 14 and only one on line 15.
That was how I saw it first, like this, the identifier and the scope is on the same line because you don't put any values to them. You just keep them all on the same line. So, but one thing I really want to change is single quotes.
Yes.
Okay, it's complaining that I'm missing ECS. So the thing I have to do once this is done, I can just do pip3 install, not requirements, but pip3 install. Where are you? AWS.
So Joe is asking the question, does it not need a subnet? Well, this is where the fun comes in with the using the CDK and the constructs. When you specify that subnet, creating a VPC with that, it actually abstracts it. So if we look underneath, it actually created multiple subnets. I believe by default it spans 3 availability zones, and it'll do
private and public subnets as well.
And also the private subnets will have a NAT gateway per subnet per availability zone. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So
there's, I think 4 subnets in total. That, if I recall correctly, what it does. So
it should do 4 only. I would expect 6, 3 private and 3 public.
Or 6.
Yeah.
Actually, let's have a look. So VPC.
You should pin your services at the top.
No. When I joined Amazon, it was like 60 or 70 services available. Now when I open this, bam! It's just no. Where is the VPC?
Subnets at the top.
Python magic default VPC. So how many subnets? Four. Okay, so it's 4.
Interesting.
So there's 2 public ones and there's 2 private ones. So if I do
Oh, okay. So it's just spread across two availability zones. Okay, that's fine.
yeah, so subnet.
Yeah, that's.
So this is the default
just
setting.
check
Of course, you can change these things as well. So
Can you just check the NAT gateways for me? I just want to double check that I remember this correctly.
It's 2 NAT
Because in
gateways.
theory, 2 NATs. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
2 NAT gateways here.
Nice. Okay.
So then let's import ECS. I can just do it like this. And for some reason it's underscore here. I don't really know why. Okay, perfect. Cool. We have a cluster now. After a cluster, what do we need? I always forget what we need. We have a cluster. Then we have to create.
Well, a Fargate
task definition. Task definition.
Task definition. Yeah. Yes.
We create a Fargate task definition like that.
Don't you mean a task definition and then we go configure on the router?
Router.
No, it's
This should be
kidding. I was the reason I bring that up. I was so teased by a colleague at one point. We were working with US contractors, and we actually spent about a month in Austin. And because I was dealing with local, I sounded like that because I started adopting the way they pronounced it, because then it's easier for them to understand me. And he kept on saying, like, why are you talking like an American? You're an American. What's wrong with you? And yeah.
But that's a thing. Like, I also pick up accents, so I would inadvertently, if I would speak to, like, if I was in London for a week, I would start picking up the way English people pronounce some words, and I wouldn't do it, intentionally. It's just like it comes to me. So, and it sounds weird. Yeah,
Cheers.
Cheers. Why are you complaining? Fargate task definition. Why are you complaining?
No, remember the task definition doesn't have memory and those. The task definition, wait, does it? Yes, for the container does. Sorry.
Keyword,
apologies.
memory limit in MIB. Okay. Give a second. Let's try it like this.
That's not on the, yes, it's not on the memory limit. It's, sorry, you can set that on your task definition for your container itself. You can set memory requirements, but the task definition itself doesn't have a, if I remember correctly now, CPU and requirement, because this, or does it? Yes, it does, sorry. Services, you just tell it, launch me X number of those task definitions.
Right.
So it should have it there.
But apparently it's complaining about this not being part of it. So let me actually just
oh, no. Undo.
Memory. I see the problem. It's a bug in the documentation.
No, yes. El comma is missing.
No, there's not a comma missing. There's an extra underscore. So if I go to task definitions like that, M
just double
underscore
check.
B. See? Ooh.
Oh.
See?
Yes, but also when I looked at your code, I think you had a comma missing after task def. But you just added it.
I intentionally removed it, so this would pop up. So,
okay. Okay, cool.
If I put it and do that, and this pops up then, right? So memory limit MIB is 512, right?
Cool.
And then CPU equals, how did I do it? 256.
Let me put a comment here. This is a new thing we wanted to start doing for those who are new to the show. Oh, sorry. I really need to get in a different screen. I've got a 4K and a 1080p and it confused me. Is we want to start making show notes.
Okay.
And then sharing them afterwards.
Let me answer the question from Natul Lauchande. You're never late. You're never late to our show. There's not a lot of good structure to our show. So how would you compare CDK with Terraform? Well, so I think Cobus may be able to answer this question better because he actually is the Terraform person here. And he's had a chance to play with CDK as well as of recently because I forced him to. So maybe you can kind of answer what do you think the difference is, the major difference is? Because I'm very light on Terraform.
Yeah, so basically, biggest difference is that CDK uses a programming language as the mechanism to define your resources. So, for example, we're playing with Python today. You can use Typescript, Java, C#, F#, and some other languages that I'm probably missing now. So that's the one difference. Terraform, on the other hand, uses HCL, which is HashiCorp configuration language. It's JSON-like, but it's not quite JSON. And then the biggest difference out of the gate is what you'll see, for example, if you look at line 14 to 17, where we define a VPC. We only define the VPC, where on the Terraform side, that'll be a single, the VPC resource that you would create inside the console, nothing else. Whereas in CDK, a lot of things are abstracted with sane default. So by sane, we mean recommended best practice setup. So in this case, that VPC will actually spin up the VPC, two public subnets, two private subnets. Both of them are spanning two availability zones, a NAT gateway with an elastic IP, routing tables, routing rules, etc. All of that, internet gateways, all of those bits for you. Where on the Terraform side, if you're using the raw resources, you would have to specify all of those yourself, or you would need to grab one of the publicly available modules. So Terraform does provide modules, but it doesn't have, for example, defaults. Well, the modules have defaults, but the resources don't have defaults. So it depends on what you're doing. And also the other difference is prior to a recent release, CDK would have been applicable only to AWS resources. Terraform AWS is one of the more than 200 providers there. So you can have it configure and work with multiple other resource providers. But CDK does have a new feature, sorry, just changing my seating, that allows you to interact with other resource providers. You might have to build some of those providers as well, but it is a new feature that's gaining a lot of traction, so it's good.
Correct. So, you can use generic programming languages for with CDK now. And the question is, so CDK is for AWS only. Terraform is for multi-cloud. Now Cobus said that because there's a CDK module for Terraform, which in essence you can create Terraform with CDK, you can do multi-cloud with CDK as well. So. Yeah,
but I mean it's we don't want to open up that can of worms around the multi-cloud discussion, but basically, I'm yet to see a successful strategy of multi-cloud implemented properly, and not just a little bit of hello world on the one side or the other one. I mean, learning two clouds is insane. I mean, if you think about the detail of all of them and how they're different, it's not like AWS is the exact same as another cloud. I mean,
correct.
Yeah. So, but that's not today's focus. We can have a controversial flaming session at one point.
Service, no, ACS, Fargate service.
Yes.
Like that. And then is it the same approach? Yeah, I have to do self and then sample.
Give it a name. This is good. Coffee number 4 for the day. Woo!
Wow. You have to define the task definition. Task definition equals Fargate task definition.
Yep, there we go. Quantity.
Will
there definitely be a quantity of some kind to indicate how many copies to run?
I'm looking at this. Is there anything we define here? Looking at this, desired count. So it doesn't show up all the things in the pop-up. So we define a cluster, task definition, and a desired count. So cluster.
You've already got
cluster. Like that.
Yeah.
And desired count is 3.
2.
And this is it. Okay, so this in essence should launch all of
so
this.
Python is, sorry, just double checking. So Python is the same as JavaScript that allows you to do commas on the last one as well.
Yeah. Apparently, right? If I remove this, it's fine as well. So
I suppose it's better than starting the line with a comma, because that's what I used to do to make it easier to move these things around. And I'll stop grumbling. Get off my lawn.
Now, all of these things can actually be on a single line. So I could have just put this in a single long, snake line, but that's, ugly. So that's why I put it in multiple lines. But in general, it's all can be all in a single quotes like that. Okay.
How are we doing?
I want to see how do I define
the load balancer.
Yeah, we can do a load balancer, absolutely. Application load balancer. So we need to do elastic load balancing. Target.
That's it. I'd almost just grab this. This looks roughly what we need.
Yeah. I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to install the load balancing first. Application. What is it? Elastic load balancing, actually. Elastic load balancing v2. Wait, okay. And then go up, and then this, and then AWS Elastic load balancing v2 as ELB. Like that? Or ELB v2, okay. Good. And then I need to create this load balancer. Basically, I will just do this. Now, copying pasting code is not good, but I'm going to explain what this does, actually. So we all are on the same page. So here's the first line. So this is where we actually I'm going to break this up in the proper way I do it. As you can see, it can all fit on the same line, but to make it nicer, you can do it like this. So you define a load balancer here, right? We're going to use an application load balancer in this case. And we need to set, hey, run it in this VPC. It's going to be internet facing through. Now a listener, basically adding a listener to this load balancer, right? Saying, hey, add a listener on port 80. That's all. And then creating a target group, and I'm going to be target group 1, or I'm just going to do a target group, add targets, and saying, hey, port 80, but the service is going to be, the targets are going to be just this service. So anything launched by this service is going to be added to the target group. So in essence, this should work. One of the things I want to see here, if, do I define a VPC somewhere here? Or no, I don't. Do I need to define security groups? Another question here from World of the Web. Hey guys, I'm late. Well, what core services are you guys deploying here with CDK? So the goal of today is not to deploy anything super special. It's just us trying to figure out how does CDK for Python work, because we've been using CDK for Typescript for a while. So CDK for Python has been a question in a lot of people's minds. People have been asking, hey, what about Python? Is that good as well? It's perfectly viable. And to be honest, I prefer the way it looks. So when I initially tried Python for CDK, I didn't know CDK at all, and it was very complex for me. But now, this seems pretty good for me. It's relatively cleaner for me, at least compared to Typescript. So yeah, we're just creating a simple ECS or a cluster container-based application, a sample application running through CDK. So we created a VPC, we created a cluster, a task definition, a container, a service, and a load balancer right now. So this may actually work. So famous last words. Let's see CDK diff. I want to see if this will work. It fails here immediately if it doesn't, right? It just shows up.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, it works. So everything seems to be set up. Now, that's not necessarily this wouldn't. I think we're going to be missing security groups or port mappings or something. But you know what? Deploy. Do not try to make it perfect out of the box. Try it, see if it works, then add things to it. Makes you feel better. Hey Dennis, hi. Another comment from World of the Web. I have an upcoming project at my work to implement the CDK with Python. So this is very appropriate. I play around with it a bit, but getting info is useful. Yeah. So the documentation is a bit different, right? So the documentation is using this, how do you call it? Cobus Sphinx. Basically, this is the same documentation engine as Bodo 3, so it looks different than TypeScript. The only reason I've stayed away from Python before is that there were, at least when I started, there were much less examples in Python. And I'm not a Python developer. I prefer Python, but you cannot call me competent in Python. So all the examples I found were in TypeScript. So you know what, like, hey, let's go with the flow and let's just do TypeScript. But actually, having played around with TypeScript with Python recently, I can easily just do anything with Python. So all the features are available here as well. So I don't see that maybe some experimental features which are currently not in a GA are not part of Python, but you should not be using those anyway. So And when do we give the turn to Mr. Sidekick? So next time we should set up Amazon Polly to give him a voice. So
I may or may not be working on that. I cannot confirm. Yeah, it's actually. I just need to sort my setup now. It's like my desk needs to move. Sorry, I'm looking at the side now because what happened is, so my desk was here, so I moved it that way and forward in the room.
Okay.
So now I've got a gap here on this side. Wait, where's my hand? This side.
Okay.
This side, and I can actually move my desktop that side now. But I'll just have to check because it's one of those things changed because normally you don't want your machine close to a UPS because of the magnetic fields that could damage the hard disks. But since everything now is SSD and NVEs, I don't think that applies anymore.
Okay.
But we'll see because this is really a big ass UPS. It's
wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay. This kind of works. Load balancer. The containers, the services have been launched, so we see that tasks are running here. Now they're running sample tasks. That's fine, but I would be very much surprised if this works out of the box. To be honest, if this works, just hey, just here's your load balancer URL and it works. But let's see.
Dun 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 dun.
No, not where are my load balancers?
They sort by create date.
No, there's just 4 of them.
You sure it's creating? Oh, it's still creating the change set.
No,
So
it's done. It's done.
Oh wait, sorry. What am I missing?
LB, ELB, application load balancer. Am I not checking the right region? I am. Refresh.
This is weird. But I mean, it should have reloaded the values when you clicked on the different tree node in any case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second. Let's go to CloudFormation. CloudFormation will tell us all.
Wait. I get the feeling that you are not running in Ireland. Did you specify at the top of the stack, like you normally do for JavaScript, that you are running inside?
No, you don't have to do that. So if I go to ECS, you'll see that I have my things here in Ireland. So it's here, right? It's available. Now, if I go to CloudFormation, Python Magic, and look at resources, test definition, that's all fine. Security group, 1 second.
Save. Darko saves and takes 3 damage.
Okay, it failed actually. So
there we go.
we
Okay.
need to add port mappings. Okay, good.
Hey, look, it's better than when I joined AWS. I had a discussion with Nikki Stone. I'm not sure if she streams a lot anymore or not, but she and Amy used to do a show, I think like daily. And so they were well seasoned. And one of the learnings she said, because she did a session on how to get into streaming, was like, always look at the comments. Because apparently they had done a show where they were working on a Lambda and it couldn't get it working. And they'd been going at it for 20 minutes. And then one of them looked to the side, comments, and went like, save. Apparently the entire text was just a wall of saying save. Nothing else, but because they didn't keep an eye on the comments. But yeah.
See, there you go. Save. Okay. Container service has definition. There's somewhere port mappings. So
I'm going to have to fix this setup a little bit. My chair is too high at the moment, so it's uncomfortable. Because I don't want to sit like this the whole time and watch.
Yeah.
Cool. What is it complaining about? Sorry, I missed that now with my banter.
So I need to specify a container mapping. So if I do mappings like that, I can do ECS.
Oh, yes.
Mappings like that, and then can I do it? Is it like that? Or dot? No?
There we go, dot.
No,
Well,
that's not it. That's not it.
Let me see what the documentation says. Sorry, I'm taking a very passive approach today.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Host port protocol. So I can just do a container port and I can do host port. So port mappings, I can do container port.
Wait, hold on. Go back to the documentation. Is this is the it says port mapping? Okay, no, I just want to double check because remember, there's you create different task definitions for Fargate versus EC2 hosts.
Oh,
So I just want to check that it's that. Because remember, the reason why I'm thinking about that is that with Fargate, you don't have the concept of a host port because you assign an ENI to the instance. So there isn't, it'll always be the port of the container, nothing else.
Okay, we can, no, it's actually simpler, more simpler than what we tried to do. So container port, actually can do at port mappings, container port equals 80. I think this example is running on 80 or 3000.
No, 80.
80, yeah.
Yeah, I remember from the other stream.
And
so the one thing that is confusing with this IDE is the pop-up. I don't know if it actually has a different background color, but it's like black on black.
It's black. So I've been doing some testing with some different color schemes. So I have a few color schemes that I can use here. Like Grubbox is great for this. If I do with Grubbox, it actually shows me like that, right? So it looks
it's actually a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm a fan of just pure black editors. But okay, I'll use Grubbox for this use case. Okay, so container port, I think this should work fine. If I do it once again. Yeah, this looks good. So no, got container port, got an unexpected keyword, container port. Okay, what did I do wrong here? This looks container, add port mappings, container port. I think the documentation is bad again.
Oh, what's this? Let me make a note because I want us to actually submit these and have them fixed.
Yes. So on this one, MIB, this is bad.
Yeah, got that.
And I think this is not, there's no option like this. It complains that there is no option like this, right?
That is interesting. I wonder if it's a versioning that was changed.
Could be, because here, there's nothing here. Add port mappings, actually, so if I go to CDK, let me try to find this method. So it is on container. Where can I find a container? Container, add Fargate. Okay, so Fargate task definition, add container. So task definitions. Task definition, right? And it should have a thing here called add container, right? That's fine. It provisions something called a container definition, and the container definition has add container, add link, add mount points, add port mappings. Okay, it takes port mappings of this, and port mappings are ECS port mapping. So it should be something like this. I'm looking for an example, but it doesn't exist. See, so I can do ECS dot port mappings, and then in that container port equals.
Okay, interesting.
I think now this could be very much wrong. Let me just try it out. No.
Let me just check quickly.
Attribute error module. ECS has no attribute port mappings. ECS port mapping. Sorry.
Sorry, just checking. Okay. The UPS I think is full. It made a weird beep.
Okay, I've changed something. I've changed this to port mapping. Uppercase. Different. It's not port mappings.
Oh.
It's different. Yeah. So let's see if
Is it because it's just, I wonder if it's because it's a static method. Because I know some languages.
Most likely, yeah.
That's
Okay. Not too low. Chanda asks, can CDK code be tested locally? Yes, you can do unit test against CDK code, and I've actually delivered a talk on this. you can do these things with Python as well, I believe, but the most defined examples are in JavaScript, and you actually use Jest as the testing language or testing framework for JavaScript, and the CDK assertion library for testing fine-grained assertions on that one. I've done a talk on that. I am very happy to share a blog post written by somebody else on that topic. So,
Oh wait, no money for me. Speaking of, we should probably share the links to our different streams at the moment, because I see we are actually very interesting. We're spread across our channel as well as my Twitch and your Twitch for those people that are seeing us answer questions that come from somewhere else. So let me quickly pop up a banner. Let me get that. Here we go.
Yes.
There is that.
Do the follow.
Yeah. Yes.
Also, Mr. Natu, I'm actually doing a recording today with my colleague Marcia. She runs her own YouTube channel, and she and I are recording a video today for this exact same topic, the testing of CDK code. So the video is going to be out, I'm not sure when, but if you have not followed her, make sure to do so. And let me just try to share her channel as well.
I'll grab it.
Okay.
Oh, we're waiting for the
post. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm actually going to get that for us. We need that for show notes as well. Getting ready. Foobar codes. Here we go. Got it. Yeah. Oh, it's now serverless. That's new.
Yeah.
Cool. Pop it in here. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. So today, her and I are having an interview or sorts of basically doing a video together on how to do this testing. So exactly when I finish the stream, I'm going to do that. So yeah. Cool. Okay, so this should actually work now. Now, there would be a faster way to do this. Now, there's a built-in construct available. So if I would go to ECS, actually, there's a pattern available somewhere. So if I can find it, it's in the construct library. There is a pattern. Basically, there's an ECS pattern for Fargate. In essentially 4 lines of code, you can launch whatever we did right now. So it's even faster. It's very opinionated. It's very, it does things the way that it wants to do it. You can make some changes to it, but you can do it in 4 lines of code. And that was made by the community. There's a lot of things coming up when it comes to those patterns. So CDK is a great way to kind of adopt those things easily. So we didn't do that because that would be just super simple. So we kind of delved a bit more into this. Now, again, Cobus, I'm not sure if I'm more competent with CDK or Python made it easier for me, because somehow, I mean, it's easier for me to write things in Python right now. So I don't know why. There's nothing majorly different here. Like when you look at, defining a resource like this, it's not vastly different than doing it in Typescript. But for some reason, it was easier for me.
The reason is probably because how often have you actually spun up an ECS cluster? Because knowing the building blocks means you can literally just jump directly to them. Because I think, for example, if we think back to Friday's episodes on the SSL certificate and the fun we had figuring out the targets and all of that, how that worked, I mean, it should be easier. Well, unless we didn't learn.
That's true.
Man, on that note, I had a fun discussion with someone at one point that said it was around getting experience. Now, some of you may have heard the term saying, let's say you work at somewhere and you are learning and all of that, so that's great because you're improving yourself.
Right.
But let's say you worked in the same job for 10 years and you did the exact same thing for 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you have 10 years experience, or do you have 1 year experience over 10 years, or 10 times? Which is literally the same thing. But even better than this, someone told me once, and I need to keep it vague. Well, it's not in South Africa, so that means it's anywhere in the world. But they were working with a company, and there was a person there who was a software developer sitting in the front, or sitting somewhere reading magazines all day. And I mean, at one point, this person who was a contractor, they went and said, "Listen, just out of curiosity, what's up? Because I know you work here. I know you're listed as software dev, but I haven't seen you type anything or do anything. So what's up with that? Because I understand, And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm busy getting experience."
Okay.
Literally just for the CV, X number of years at places for some. I honestly don't understand what the mindset behind it was, but it was just
Wow.
like, okay.
Wow, man, no.
Mm,
There are some
it's
places like that, but it's also like a question of if you're thinking about hiring people, would you hire this person that worked in the same exact job for the last 15 years, right? That person
well, it
has
depends what you're doing.
okay, yeah, but like I'm talking about an IT developer, right? It dep- okay, but like would you yeah would you like hire a person who has been a sysadmin for the last 15 years in the same company, right? Again, it depends really. It really depends which company. Uh, uh, what has that person been changing
Yeah.
roles within that sysadmin
Mm.
role, etc. Because if you are, if I were still working in my job, my first IT job. So my first IT job was me fixing computers and fixing servers and selling computer equipment through the phone. If I was still doing that job, I could have easily stayed there, right? But I would still only know that. Like I would probably not move from that, and it was 15 years ago almost. I would not hire me because I would just know only that, right? Job
Mm.
hopping. Now, there's a different thing about job hopping. If you job hop every 6 months just so you can get experience or whatever, that's a different thing. But if you have a person who has stayed in a company for a while or done a certain job for a good while uh, and moved on to something better, it's better because that person learns more or knows more.
Mm.
It's very important to have. That's why in Amazon it's very encouraged for you to either get promoted, move to a top higher role, or do lateral moves to a different type of role. I've changed my role 4 times in Amazon. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so and that's just great. I mean, I've experienced right in a lot of different things. So I'm doing here something. I'm just creating output. So DNS ALB DNS.
Mm.
I'm just generating a CloudFormation output here. So, and then the value equals.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I mean I'm at that point in my career where I actually have to go look at my own LinkedIn to remember all the jobs that I've had because also my job history is not a single linear line because at one point I was working for a company that did consulting, so I had sometimes more than one role at the same time, depending on what I was doing, and then there was even a period where I did some other things on the side. So I had my day job, which might have been 1 or 2 customers, then my own stuff after hours. Obviously, all above board. I don't do that
Right.
whole let's moonlight and not tell people. And then also the one time was quite fun. It was for a few months doing game development on a Saturday,
Wow.
and automating that. It was actually on AWS. It was hilarious because it was with Unity 3.5.1. I remember
Yeah.
this because I saw the version number every single time we had to build because we would spin up the Windows instance. Unity would have to be opened up by hand, punch in the license key
Okay.
because it could not save it because there was no GPU attached to the instance at that point. And there was no GPU before. So it could still use the command line to build, but there was no way to persist the license key. So every time we had to build, and we normally
Interesting.
did a build like on Fridays to test play over the weekend. It would be fire it up, paste it in, run it, and then shut it down again.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, it was fun.
Ta-da!
We are
It
up!
works. It
Woo-hoo!
works. Cool.
Except that's a terrible load balancer name.
Bye to the back. We can do something about that then
Uh,
maybe. Just to kind of reiterate one thing that Kanir says, it does look straightforward more because you don't have to
mm,
instantiate new objects, etc. like that. It basically just define things directly. So that's kind of like a thing that gets me to it. So now again, I cannot say is it that or is it just me just knowing things more because I use CDK much more often. So I don't know.
mm,
Cobus, what
yeah.
is your biggest? This happened to me. What is your biggest rise and
Ooh.
fall in expectations when it comes to IT? I'll give you an example of mine. Maybe you can think of yours. So back in 2010, 2011, I've decided, you know what, mobile phones are the shit. I want to get into developing iOS applications because everybody wants an iPhone. Everybody wants new iOS applications. I'm going to make the next Angry Birds. So I bought, so I sold a netbook, uh, an old TV, and a bunch of other things to gather 500 euros. So I can buy a 17-inch MacBook Pro from 2010-ish, 2009, yes. And I bought it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to just go full on development on iOS applications. I'm going to be the best iOS developer. I'm going to make money. Then I saw Objective-C. And I was like, oh my, what is this? Model view controller? Like I had experience with PHP until then, right? I was doing PHP, I was doing some Python, Visual Basic, I was doing maybe some PowerShell, C Sharpish, C, etc. All of a sudden, Objective-C. I'm like, what is this? Why is this so bad? I don't know how to use this. I went through like a couple of online courses on Objective-C trying to understand it. It was just like completely, and I was like, okay, well, I spent money on it because you can only develop iOS applications on Apple devices. And I was like, you know what? I gave up. And I still have that MacBook somewhere.
So I'm trying to think now, in terms of those kind of things, the worst that I had was Jeepers. This is now 2007, 2008, I think. Okay. So I had to spec out, we wanted to run some on-prem, hardware. Because we had a bunch of small old like crappy servers, and that was what we used for development environments locally, because this was before we could move to the cloud. Oh, nice.
Just show you the scale of 17-inch MacBook Pro from 2008. So that's a big laptop.
But are you allowed to do it today? Is today an arms day? No gymming?
Huh?
A gym day? Arms day?
Arms day.
Yeah, it's arm day or leg day, or I think that's what they call it. I don't know.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So in any case, so we decided we're going to virtualize. We're going to buy some server hardware, and this is literally the first time I'd ordered server hardware.
Okay.
So off I went, but I was also young, so obviously I knew everything and the answer to all problems. So spec'd out the server, got everything, got it in, got the two servers because two of them, and we were going to run RAID 5 because obviously our data is important. We need to run that, and all of our applications also had a copy of the database running. So it was an app server and a database server. It was actually front-end app server and database server, classical 3TR application. And we wanted to run between 5 and 7 copies of this on a server. Now, they were fairly beefy, so should be fine, right?
Yeah.
So, 2 things I learned. First one, there's a difference between RAID 5 capable on the motherboard versus hardware RAID 5.
Oh.
Big difference. Because RAID 5 thrashes the CPU, and also if you're hitting the disks hard, and this was still the age of spinning disks. This was pre-SSDs. Trying to have 10 different VMs thrash the hard drive at the same time, not so good. Yes.
Wow.
That was probably the.
Yeah, when people say I have RAID set up on my desktop PC with software RAID, like the RAID just running on your motherboard. If you don't have hardware RAID devices, man, you lose performance. Wow, that's true. I mean, that's I can imagine how angry you were at that time. Like, I spent money and effort to do this thing.
Well, then that's why I got my first taste of like this whole hardware market is crappy, because crappy in the sense that we found 2 RAID 5 hardware controllers to use, but then it's okay, so what's the lifespan on these? How long do they stay on the market? Because if this fails and we have to swap it out, will the new one just work with the disk? So there's like that whole rabbit hole of figuring that out. I'm like, no.
Wow. I just answer a question from DeAndre. Have I tried Swift now? I have not. No, I literally have not delved into any iOS development. Now, again, this was 10 years ago when I tried it, like a long time ago. I was a novice in a lot of things. I'm not saying that Objective-C is bad. If it was too bad, like nobody would use it. Well, not a lot of people use it right now, but back then you could only do it in Objective-C. And I have not tried Swift, and Swift is relatively recent, if I recall correctly. I mean, when I say relatively recent, in the last 5 years, I believe. And I tried also Java for Android. I don't know Java. Like I have no clue with Java. So Java for me is something completely foreign, and I just gave up myself on completely doing web applications at all. So, no.
Java's good. I love Java. Java's my first language.
Really? No,
Yeah, no, it's
I've got scared, but so for me, when a language introduces a lot of files, like in Java, you have a lot of these things. When you create a Java project, like the same with C Sharp, right? It generates a bunch of scaffolding, like a lot of things that you don't necessarily need, or well, actually you need, but I don't know why you need them. And that was kind of like for me, okay, what are these things now? Even with CDK, right? So it generates a bunch of files for you, but I kind of not know what all these things are. And again, it's my fault because I don't know what the other things are. So I'm a fan of, like, that's why I like C. You have a single main.c or whatever, multiple
Mhm.
.c's, and you can do .h's and .s's and whatnots, and you control them. It's kind of more simple. Like I'm a fan of Java as a DSL. It was oh yeah, and
So
XML. So I'll give you my stupid thought of the day. When I was young and stupid, and I was 2012-ish, yeah. So 8 years ago, I thought XML would be a perfect static database. So I wanted to create an application that would write a bunch of things into a database. So I'm no SQLite. No. Let's not complicate things. I'm just going to use XML, a big XML file, write everything into an XML file, and just parse it. That would be
yeah.
an over. My
Uh,
God, no.
but I mean, getting back to that Java joke. So for those who aren't as familiar with Java, is Java, especially if you did Java about, I can't comment on the current state of Java because I haven't really touched it in the last 3 or 4 years. But if you did about between 10 and 15 years ago, a lot of the libraries you used, you had to configure with XML. So for example, when you wired up your front end to your back end, or for example, you used EJBs, which is,
Yeah.
I can't even remember what the E is for, something Java Beans,
Okay.
Enterprise Java Beans, there we go. You would use XML files, and often what would happen is if you misconfigured it, obviously Java just spits out a stack trace because something's broken. And that was the
Right.
joke where, everything is configured in XML. I do know there was quite a lot of, it was hard getting into the language because so much happened in the libraries and the how to configure things correctly. I mean, if I think back of like Hibernate, which is over M, how to wire that up, everything was XML. You actually had things that generated your XML for your services based on annotation and things. Ah.
No, wait. That's
Oh, programming mistakes. Is that like origami, but just like... That's actually a session we should do. Let's schedule that for next Monday.
Let's do coding mistakes or actually just blunders of anything. Like we can. It's a. Well, I would say lessons learned. Let's not call it blunders. Let's call it lessons learned. I learned that proprietary languages like Objective C, or it's not a proprietary language, but it's a very narrow focus language, is not something you can learn in a week. And you give up quite fast, even though you were elated by getting a MacBook Pro. And it's like I've literally have to sell half of my soul to get that MacBook Pro. I sold a phone. I remember I was without a cell phone for a while because I wanted a MacBook Pro.
Wow. Okay. Because you thought you could make so much money afterwards that you could just buy any phone. Yep.
I sold my netbook, a TV, and a cell phone. Yeah, I was without a cell phone. I got a feature phone for a while. So
speaking of, I saw the best insult this weekend, which was you are as useless as the what's it, protective case for a Nokia 3310.
That was actually my first cell phone. My first phone I ever had. Back in 2001, I got it. My mom bought it for me, and it was 150 Deutsche Marks back then, which was a lot of money. No euros still. Well, euros was just coming in. But I remember that phone, and I used it for a long, long time, and it's still, I think, one of the most abused phones I ever had, because like it would literally fly out of your hands, land on the sidewalk, and it would just explode into pieces. So the mask would fly off, keyboard everywhere, but the phone is just, it just works.
Yeah.
So
just clip it again. Yeah.
Just clip it.
And also, the battery was like, I think the battery was like 2 weeks.
And that's the thing,
like insane. Yeah.
So I remember elementary school. There was
hold on, son. You had phones in elementary school?
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
I was in the seventh grade when I got no sixth grade when I got my first phone, right? And we were discussing things like, oh, you know what? It's amazing. Like my phone has a 25-day battery life. I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore. If anybody would come up to me with a 25-day battery life, man, that would be a lie. But like how
So,
now we talk about, oh, I get 5 hours of on-screen time. Wow,
mhm. But just quickly on that comment. So when I finished school, I got my first mobile phone. The
Okay.
reason being is I went off to university, and that was, other than the payphone in the
Yeah.
place I was staying, the only
Yeah.
way to actually communicate. And it was a big thing. It was expensive,
Yeah.
which is why I got it. In terms of being able to communicate with my parents, because they were worried about, the little
Yeah.
kitty leaving house and all that.
I mean,
Um,
we were prohibited from taking phones to school. Like it was in 2001 and 2. We were prohibited from taking phones into school. That was like a no thing. Teachers will tell the parents, do not let your kids take phones to school. Um,
mm,
but it was a very new thing. I was one of the first 5 people in my class who got a phone. It was like,
ooh.
yeah, so no. The
Mm.
first camera phone I saw was in high school. First year of high school, a friend who had a bit more money, he got a Nokia 7650. It's that
Oh yeah.
slider phone. You can kind of slide. It's the first Symbian phone. It's the first phone with. It's basically the first smartphone with the Symbian OS,
Mm.
and you can record a 5-second video clip. My God, that was
Mm.
it was the entertainment of the masses. Like we would record a 5-second clip and just watch it all day. Oh, well, we're old. We're old.
Yeah.
My wife had smartphones in elementary school. Like that's the difference. So,
Sure.
so we're yeah. Like when I was in high school, there was no YouTube. Like
Mm.
that's kind of the cutoff point for me. When I was in high school, I couldn't just go on YouTube and check things out. No, I got YouTube. Well, there was YouTube. When did YouTube come? 2006. Yeah,
Four, I
four.
think.
Yeah, yeah. So
I think it's 2004.
yeah, but nobody had the proper internet in Serbia in 2006 or 2004 to watch YouTube because you either had dial-up or you had wireless internet, which was limited in megabytes. How much you can do? You had a really short data plan, like 100 megabytes. So no,
Oh yeah. Which is enough for everybody.
man, I think we're treating everything from granted now. Like I have a 1 gigabit connection at home. It's just ridiculous. Like it's just
Yeah.
no. I get
So,
pissy when my website doesn't work. When I download something from somewhere it's slower than 1 gigabit.
oh, first world problems.
Yeah.
We have got about 2 minutes left.
Yes.
So quickly, let's
Just recap what we did today. Huh?
yeah.
So today we had a lovely play with CDK as we always do, but today we actually instead of doing the normal TypeScript language for CDK like most people do, we actually use Python. The reason for this is that people have been asking about, hey, what about Python? And to be honest, I have not played around with it too much. And so I decided, like, let's do it. So we built a simple ECS cluster-based application running in a VPC in Fargate on AWS with how many lines of code? With 57 lines of code, much less than effectively. But my thought on this, I mean, maybe Cobus you can say as well, my thought is on this, it looks very cleaner because there's a lot less instantiations of new objects. And for example, even for the target group, because I'm not using the target group anywhere, so I could have just done this.
Oh, you just chain it.
Yeah, I can just do this and this would work, right? So I don't have to create a variable in front of it. It could have been basically even more cleaner than it is right now. So I am a fan of this, and I will be continuing to do a lot of things in Python because it looks great. Mind you, much less examples exist out there of the Python. But hey, we're here to bring examples, so it has been fun. And on
You know
top of
what I
that,
think we should do?
we complained about our age. Yeah, what?
We do the Java one next, and then what I'll do is, but that'll probably take a little bit of time to set up, is we do a Windows session where we use C#.
Sure. I mean, I have
That could be a lot of
Windows.
fun.
I have Windows. I
Yeah.
can do it. Yeah, let's
Same.
do it. Let's
Also
play with
Windows,
different
there's 3 over here.
Okay. Then let's play around with different CDK languages for the giggles, because I mean, to be honest, most of them should look very much similarly, right? Because they all use the same API and everything in the backend because thanks to JSII. But we found few bugs in the documentation, so we need to submit that. And yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this lovely stream. Again, nothing. We didn't continue our old thing from last time, but do keep on following us on Friday on the same stream at the same time at the same places. So both of our Twitch streams as well. Yeah. So I think on Friday we're gonna actually be continuing to do the original things the workload we've been building, or maybe we can shift gears a bit. No.
Friday we still need to, I think, deviate a little bit. The reason is that we also can't stream on the AWS channel on Friday.
Got it.
There is another full day event, so we're going to lose a bunch of other people if we do that.
Okay. Then on Friday we do Java. We do CDK in Java. So if you're a fan of CDK and you would like to see me look at like this to Java, please do join us.
Java is beautiful. I don't know what you're going to complain about.
I'm not saying it's not beautiful. I'm just saying it's. And Kanir asked us that he's looking forward to us parsing C# documentation. So awesome. I haven't used C# since 2007. So C#.net
like that. I've used it since then, so we'll see how good I am.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I will be ending the stream right now. Hope you have a lovely rest of the week, and don't work too much this week. Bye-bye.
I wish. Bye.
Bye.